So today I will be hitting several different unrelated videos in one commentary because why not? So for the context of the first video I'm hitting today, Sonic Shadow 98 made a rant on the commentary community and it was bad. Like, I mistook the original video for a troll video levels of bad, but I'm not covering that video since pretty much every commentator has already hit it. No, I'm hitting HeyItsCosmic's commentary on that video since I have several issues with it.
Hello, I am Sonic Shadow 98, once again with another rant. This time I am going to be doing a rant on a certain community that drives me insane and makes me want to cringe 90% of the time. No, I am not talking about the Sonic fan base, even though I might do a rant on that in the future. I am talking about the commentary community. For those who don't know, the commentary community is basically people who are commentators that come together and commentate on certain videos. It becomes basically like an entire fandom. That's all fine and all, but there's so many problems with the community.
And we have mistake number 1. I understand that we're still at the start of the video, but 2 minutes in and we already have something that will throw the viewer off. In better terms, you mentioned that the community has so many problems, but never list off potential or specific problems the community has and go with a much lazier route of saying that it has many problems without elaborating as to what those problems may be. From a viewer's point of view, this is a rough start that can leave a person confused as to what you're ranting about. Are you ranting on certain individuals, certain groups, the community as a whole? What part of the community are you directing this to? All these questions can be asked in the viewer's mind if not treated with care, especially when making rants like this.
But Cosmic, there is elaboration in the video. Like, this is a very common way to start a rant video. The presenter of the video says, "Thing bad." Then the presenter goes on to explain why the subject of the video is bad. The whole rest of the video is elaboration. His points about drama, people labeling one of his videos as the worst commentary of 2021 and him disagreeing with that, and him saying that Doodle Tones makes unnecessarily long commentaries are all examples of elaboration. Not good elaboration, mind you. His points are still bad, but there is still elaboration, even if it is bare bones at times. So just saying elaborate when the video hasn't even really started yet kinda jumps the gun. Oh yeah, by the way, telling him to elaborate when he is introducing the topic of the video is a bit odd. These are just the introductory statements. No points have been made yet. And that's not saying that you can't cover introductory statements, but like I said, no points have been made yet. Not only that, but he clarifies that he's talking about certain individuals. He mentions Doodle and Loudon by name. And sure, you could say that this should be more clear at the beginning of the video, but the whole point of the video is to expand upon his problems with the community. So this is a non-issue at best, because of course he wouldn't put any elaboration in his introductory statements.
Chicken.
Now, not all the people in the commentary community are bad content creators, and not all of them are bad people. Blaze the movie fan, Raven the commentator, Multifer, Jacob the Redhead, and some others are really cool people, and their videos aren't even that bad. In fact, I am really good friends with them, and we all get along just fine.
Actually, that contradicts a phrase that you said earlier in the video. Something about how the commentary community was bad. Yes, I am aware that this comes off as a nitpick at best. However, it's not really recommended in a rant to contradict yourself in the first 2 or to almost 3 minutes in the video. This doesn't just apply to commentaries, but it can also apply to rants as well.
With your stuttering, you might want to cut that from future videos because it makes the video unnecessarily longer than it needs to be. Not to mention the fact that stuttering is the universal sign of confusion, and this obviously isn't intentional. To hit an actual point though, Sonic Shadow says that some of the community is good, but the community as a whole is bad. So that's not a contradiction. Do you know what exceptions are? The commentators that he considers to be good are the exceptions to his idea that the community sucks.
Chicken.
Doodle Tones is a major example of how not to make commentaries. I have nothing against her too much as a person. In fact, I don't even know her personally, but her commentary videos are just bad. They are worse than my past commentaries. Doodle is so boring. And she talks in a condescending tone at times, which can throw some people off. She joked about autism in her commentary on Set by a Sonic Fan, which wasn't even funny in the first place. Piece of And if it wasn't a joke, then it was just really cruel, mean, and messed up. Plus, her voice sounds like Fred Figurehorn. She sounds like frickin' Fred. I swear, Her commentary videos are so boring that half the time I am not paying attention to them. They just make me want to go watch something else, and I am just rolling my eyes like, when is the video going to end already? I'm bored. Also, a lot of Doodle's commentaries are unnecessarily long, like 30 minutes, 50 minutes, or even an hour. See, I don't mind long YouTube videos like that, but when she commentates for maybe even an hour or 50 minutes, and it's just nothing really that engaging or entertaining, I lose interest in it rather fast. When I do long videos that are even an hour long, I make them really engaging and entertaining, and actually offer valid points, and they are long only because I invite Discord guests to do these videos with me, as I give them time to say what they think of the subject as I was ranting on with them. Doodle doesn't do that at all. She doesn't offer anything engaging. Doodle sounds so monotone and blah, like she really doesn't want to do the commentary in the first place. Yet people like her videos and subscribe to her. I don't understand that. I'm alright if you like Doodle's videos, but I don't see what's so great or outstanding about them.
Phew, man, was that long? 2 minutes of the rant on Doodle alone. Jesus. Alright, let's break each one of your complaints down one by one. Starting with the complaint on Doodle's commentaries being bad and possibly worse than your past commentaries. Slight question, but are you referring to 2016 Doodle's commentaries where she was admittedly bad per se, or are we referring to the 2021 Doodle?
He mentioned Doodle's video on Sapphire Sonic Fan, which was released in 2017, so I doubt he's focusing on 2016 Doodle. Even so, where are you getting the idea that he's referring to Doodle by certain years when he just says that Doodle is a bad commentator? There's nothing in his wording that suggests that he's referring to certain Doodle eras, so why bring this up? I guess you might be mentioning 2016 Doodle because that's when Doodle was condescending in her commentaries, and condescension is a problem that Sonic has with her content, but you don't really bring that up.
Either way, the complaint is for the most part subjective. Her videos may be bad to you, but for others, they're not.
Well, yeah, of course it's subjective. Rants are kind of inherently subjective. Sonic's original video is labeled as a rant after all. You know, a type of video that is used to voice frustrations with a certain topic. That's the point of a rant. Now, if you said that some of Sonic's video is overly subjective, with points that are rooted in very little objectivity, which makes it hard to understand where the points are coming from, then I'd agree with this point. Guess what you don't do?
Now, the second complaint, claiming that she is so boring and condescending at times. Okay. Again, subjective on the first, but on the second one? No, she's not condescending as of her more recent videos. Condescension is not necessarily a bad thing, but if used poorly, it can come off as talking down to your target.
I think that there is an argument to be made for condescension being inherently a bad thing, because by being condescending, you are inherently talking down to your target, making it seem as if you think that you're so much better than your target, even if it wasn't intentional.
Chicken.
Now, complaint number 4. Her voice comparison is definitely unnecessary and unneeded. There's a difference between the two. Comparing this?
Now, I want to preface this by saying that I do not stand by my initial video on Jar.
To this?
Hey, it's Red! And it's really nice out, so I think I'm gonna go swimming later.
Is nothing more than a nitpick. Because, if I may, Red has a much higher pitch than Doodle's voice, as a bit played up for the sake of comedy. As for Doodle, she pitches up and uses the voice changer as a counter to her possible voice dysphoria. Then she's, well, transgender. It benefits her in the long run as she's going through transitioning and such, like many others do when it comes to gender dysphoria.
It's a bit odd to say that bringing up Doodle's voice changer is nitpicking. Nitpicking means that the point is either small or unimportant. Yet Doodle uses this voice changer in pretty much everything she is in, so it can't be a small thing. Especially when one of Sonic's problems with Doodle is how long her videos are, meaning that he'd have to listen to that voice for hours at a time. And it's pretty important since it helps Doodle avoid voice dysphoria, as you said. The point itself is decent. You're right about Doodle using the voice changer to avoid dysphoria, though I think that you should have pointed out examples of where Doodle talks about her reasons for a voice changer, such as her movie-length commentary on Nintendo Runner XLR. But to label Sonic's point as simply a nitpick is kind of wrong.
Next part, we're skipping as it amounts to you don't have to watch it, and I've already explained that it being boring is subjective. As for the final point, it's extremely subjective as the length of Doodle's videos tend to vary, as she might have a lot to say or she's covering more than one target, hence the degree chains and labels.
Another point that would have been a lot stronger with examples, so screw it. I am going to prove your point for you. You're welcome, by the way. So Doodle's longest commentary is a commentary on MetaRunner XLR, which covers some of MetaRunner's history, multiple comment threads, a video made by him, Discord DMs, and Twitter posts. Doodle's commentary on User1 Campbell covers several different countdowns made by the same guy. And for my last example, a video that Doodletones and Stagmaster15 made on a tryout that I was in, to which I am very glad that Doodle-senpai commentated on me recently, but that's not the point. No, the point is that our original video was 46 minutes long, so it makes sense that Doodle's video would be even longer. There are valid reasons for these videos to be as long as they are.
Chicken.
That goes to show that they are willing to dehumanize certain people just because they support them or because they made a shame mistake. The community can't even take other people's point of views on stuff like that.
See, when you say the community, it paints the said community with a broad brush for actions certain individuals did. It's recommended you don't generalize an entire community for actions that some children had caught.
Alright, so this point will come off as really nitpicky, but with that being said, children? Really? Cause Sonic Shadow was talking about how commentators were dogpiling on him. Granted, he doesn't mention which commentators did this, but why are you assuming that it was children?
They were willing to go as far as to say that it was a commentary, which it's not, and that it was the worst commentary of 2021. No, the video isn't a commentary. A commentary is when you commentate over the entire video, with some skipping at times to give out points and even criticisms. A response is just a video where you just give your overall thoughts on the video without even showing the entire video, why you like or dislike it, and address any possible flaws, kind of like a review or a rant.
Actually, it was a commentary. Maybe not a commentary by your standards, but under what you described, it still counts as a commentary, as it essentially responds and addresses points from your original video. A commentary is a video response in this context to the original video with points and rebuttals, kind of like a discussion or a conversation. So in this case, Rat Barage's video was indeed a commentary as stated by the criteria.
Except for the fact that he was referring to his own video on Rat Barrage, not Rat Barage's video itself.
I also remember when many members of the commentary community all have hated my response to Rat Barrage. I expected disagreements to that video, but god damn it, I didn't expect quite as much backlash on that video as I got. They were willing to go as far as to say that it was a commentary, which it's not, and that it was the worst commentary of 2021.
Chicken.
And that's essentially where we'll end this off for that video.
Call this really nitpicky if you want, but what's the point of using a skip card just to end Sonic Shadow's video? Why not just say, this is where I'm ending it at the end of your previous interjection? Like I said, it's nitpicky, but I don't care if it's nitpicky because skip cards are usually used to cut to the part of the video that you want to cover. This video is overall okay though. Let's move on now. So my next video is over a year old, but I don't care because the creator still stands by it. Alright, so Mystic Umbreon made a list of what he considered to be the worst Pokemon to originate from Pokemon Sword and Shield, and then Melon Tart and NaiTaiDai, or Foxwell because that's what I'll be calling him, made a commentary on that, and Umbrus covered that.
Okay, so I've had this commentary in the works since the very day the original video came out, but because this constantly flip-flopped between a co-op and a solo commentary, it had to get pushed back by a metric fuck ton. And quite frankly, I want to get this out as quick as I possibly can, so I'm gonna keep this introduction brief. I'm covering a co-op commentary about Pokemon.
So I usually don't cover commentary opening statements or context unless a well has been poisoned, which hasn't happened here. But with that being said, are you really just gonna say that it's a co-op commentary about Pokemon? So you aren't going to tell the audience that Degree Zero, the video that isn't a commentary in the chain, is a list of the worst Pokemon in Sword and Shield? The context here just feels kind of incomplete. And yeah, I know that Mystic later said in the video that the video is a countdown of the worst Pokemon in Sword and Shield, but still, you're supposed to give some sort of context for your audience that's more than just co-op commentary on a Pokemon video. That could refer to a lot of different commentaries. And I've had a similar issue with some of Umbrus's recent commentaries as well. For example, in one of her most recent solo commentaries, she covers multiple videos in one commentary, much like what I'm doing here. However, the only context that she gives is the name of the channel to which she's covering.
Chicken.
Get Wi-Fi anywhere you go!
Hold up.
Pokemon Sword and Shield, I can say, are some of the most enjoyable Pokemon games I have ever played.
Get Wi-Fi only at skipping. I sure wish I could require the services of skipping. No, but seriously though, Umbrus, what is this audio bouncing? Like, we've got this skipping card that's loud enough to give me a friggin' stroke, and then we have Mystic at a somewhat reasonable volume. But to hit Melon Tart and NaiTaiDai, since this is a problem with their original video, when they play clips of Mystic, those clips are a bit blurrier and more desaturated than Mystic's original video. It's not the most important issue in the world, but if you notice it, you can't stop noticing it. I'm not exactly sure how this issue occurred, but it really should be corrected in the future.
The cast of Pokemon in these games is actually very good to me. If I can be honest, I like the majority of these Pokemon. More like literally all of them besides 10. Even with the 10 I don't like, these Pokemon aren't even the worst Pokemon I've ever seen. There are much worse Pokemon like this stupid looking thing. The majority of the Pokemon in the decks have great designs and concepts behind them. Heck, even the fossils are cleverly made despite how much Arceus hated them. But yeah, I think you guys know where I am coming from, where I'm talking about the not so great Pokemon in these games. If you haven't read the title already or haven't guessed it, I'm gonna be talking about the top 10 worst Pokemon in Sword and Shield. In the past where I have made worst Pokemon lists, it got brutal for some Pokemon. I can say what I will say won't be nice about some of these Pokemon because obviously it's a worst Pokemon list, but you won't see the amount of brutality like how I do with Electrode or Torterra. Which, by the way, for all you Torterra fans out there, you guys know I'm not a huge fan of Torterra. I like Torterra more than some Pokemon on this list though. It's not the worst Pokemon in the world. Anyways, enough about Torterra. Let's just get into what I think are the top 10 worst Pokemon in Sword and Shield.
Oh look, a dip in the video's quality. Yeah, you see how the JPEG of Mystic's thumbnail just got blurrier for no reason? This was, once again, done on the behalf of Melon and Fox. Why does the original video keep looking like crap? I don't know why, but I don't like it.
Even though it wasn't so much Arceus responsible for the mutations that are Galar's fossil Pokemon, and instead the questionable competence of Kara Liss as a scientist. I mean, she doesn't really seem to think anything's wrong, despite how messed up 3 out of the 4 of them look. There's also the fact that even the Pokedex entries for these 4 sound like a pile of implying that these aren't how they're meant to look.
Hey Melon, you do know that when Mystic is saying that Arceus hated the fossil Pokemon, it's not really supposed to be a point, but more so a passing statement meant to make the list more entertaining, right? This is mostly a pseudo-joking way to make the list more entertaining. Oh, but I wasn't entertained by it, you might say. Well, that's just you. That doesn't suddenly mean that he wasn't trying to be entertaining though. Also, one of her screenshots is improperly cropped, meaning that one of her examples fails because the audience isn't getting the full context of the Pokédex entry that she is using.
Chicken.
So a lot of you are probably going to be shaking their heads asking, what are these fossils doing here? Weren't they in the top 10 best Pokemon in Sword and Shield? And yes, you are right, they were. I know it's weird seeing them on 2 lists, but let me explain myself.
No, actually. You can have legitimate reasons for having the same subject on 2 different lists, if you feel there are enough pros and cons to be discussed. It all depends if your reasoning holds up.
I think that Fox is kind of missing the point here. See, Mystic is trying to explain why these Pokemon are on a worst list and a best list, since that could come off as kind of contradictory. Hence why Mystic says, let me explain. And for those who don't know, a contradiction is a point that goes against against another point. Now, this isn't a contradiction because his reasoning for putting these Pokemon on opposite lists are different, but it could seem like a contradiction at face value. Hence why he says, let me explain. Not only that, but can I just point out how Foxwell is essentially agreeing with the notion that you could put the fossils on a best list and a worst list, which is the point that Mystic is trying to get across. I'm not saying that you can't agree with someone that you're commentating on, but I think that Foxwell thinks that he's debunking the point when no, he's not. I could be wrong on this one, but the way Foxwell structures his point makes me think that he believes that he's arguing when he really isn't. But you know what? Since Fox isn't going to provide half-decent counter-arguments towards Mystic's video, then I will. Yes, that's right. I'm taking time away from this video to hit Mystic's original.
These funky fusion fossils are the best and worst Pokemon ever created. I mentioned earlier in the intro that the concepts were super amazing, taking two halves of fossils and fusing them together and allowing the player to create brand new Pokemon. Concepts are great, super cool. But look at what they create. The literal children of Arceus that hate themselves. The fossils just look at you and say, please make me extinct again. It's like they acknowledge what they are and understand how people feel about them. Look at Dracozold over here. He's a happy little guy, then he asks himself, how in the heck did I get a Stegosaurus tail attached to my butt? It's like the episode of Family Guy where Cleveland and Quagmire fused together after the Y2K incident. I don't truly hate these guys. I love the concepts behind them. I'm just putting them here because they hate themselves. That's not the face of happiness. That's the face of keep me extinct.
Wait, so if Mystic is putting these Pokemon on the list just because they hate themselves, then why does he imply that the list is based on how much he likes these Pokemon?
The cast of Pokemon in these games is actually very good to me. If I can be honest, I like the majority of these Pokemon. More like literally all of them besides 10.
Maybe I'm taking a joke too seriously, but it doesn't really seem that way. Also, he says that he likes all of the Pokemon in these games besides 10, yet there are more than 10 Pokemon on the list, because he put all of the fossils at the number 10 spot. What the heck is consistency? Anyways, back to Umbrus.
He never said that? He was just saying it might have been weird to see the Pokemon in question on two lists. He never said anywhere that he couldn't put them on two lists.
Yes, but Mystic's wording could imply that there's a problem with putting them on two different lists, given how he says that his audience might ask why they're on two different lists.
Also, you cut Umbreon off while he was still explaining on the points you were actually making. So this interjection comes off as very pointless.
Cutting off Mystic's point is not pointless though. I mean, when we cut back to the original, Fox and Melon just skip over the rest of Mystic's point. Probably because they thought that the rest of Mystic's number 10 entry was fine. And Fox just wanted to hit the part where Mystic says that the fossils will be on both lists, since the rest of the segment just goes over Mystic's reasoning for putting them on the list. Which isn't relevant towards Fox's argument, because Fox is arguing that Mystic should be able to put these Pokemon on two different lists, not Mystic's actual reasoning for having them on two lists. But apparently that's pointless now, despite the fact that Fox had a point to make. Like, Fox's point is bad, but that doesn't make it pointless.
Coming up next is a Pokemon that may seem a little controversial, and that choice is going to be Dubwool. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Wooloo and everything it stands for. The design, the cry, and of course the best part about it, the shiny. Dubwool though? This didn't come out the way I wanted it to. Like, I was expecting more of a Tauros kind of ram, not a big fat fluff ball.
I mean, it's a sheep. What would you expect it to look like?
I mean, yeah, I guess there is a reason for Dubwool to look a certain way. That reason being that it's a sheep, but that really doesn't invalidate Mystic's complaints though. Just because there's a reason for something, that doesn't really mean that Mystic has to tolerate it. You haven't proven that Mystic's points are flawed in any way. You just reinforce the fact that Dubwool is a sheep, which we are already well aware of. Also, what would you expect it to look like? He literally just said what he expected it to look like.
Dubwool though? This didn't come out the way I wanted it to. Like, I was expecting more of a Tauros kind of ram, not a big fat fluff ball.
Maybe this is a rhetorical question, but it really doesn't come off as one. And I guess that you could argue that it is just joke setup, since this happens when we cut back to the video.
Patience, dear. Let's let me explain.
The f did you just call me?
Please don't kick me in the dick.
But it's joke setup with a point behind it. Not only that, but just hand-waving away Mystic's problems with the design because it's a sheep in of itself is pretty faulty, since not all of sheep are big fluff balls just like Double, which is one of his complaints about Double.
Patience, dear. Let's let me explain.
The f did you just call me?
Please don't kick me in the dick.
I'm calling the police.
Oh look, plagiarism from Master TP10.
Wait, I remember this background. Listen, half the avatars you'll come to use are females from Japanese products. You'll learn soon enough. I'm calling the police.
Now I'm calling the police.
I was looking forward to more of a fast-hitting attacker, not a defensive like Pokemon. Based on everything I have seen stats-wise and moves-wise, I think it can do all right in the meta, especially with its fluffy ability, and moves like Sword Stance, Zen Headbutt, and Double Edge. It's tanky and can potentially set a few Sword Stances. It may be more than a few due to its 80 base attack, but I don't think it will do horrible. I don't really have much hate to throw at Double. I just wish it wasn't a huge fluff ball. Maybe if Farmer Brown gave it a little bit more of a haircut, I'd probably enjoy the design a bit more. I don't particularly dislike this Pokemon. This is a small design change, and wishing that it was more of a faster and physical attacker. But alas, this is definitely not the worst Pokemon on the list, as it's only number 9. So the blow is kind of just there, and I have only minor pet peeves about it.
So, you acknowledge it has decent stats, but because it's a big ball of fluff and not something like, oh, I don't know, Pajiramon, it's automatically the worst because its design doesn't appeal to you?
He said that it was one of the worst, not the worst. Not only that, but even if Double does have decent stats, that doesn't really matter since his list seems to be mostly based on Pokemon designs, not their usefulness in battle. And I know this because the rest of the entries go mostly over designs.
Well, gee, I guess Cinderace is a bad Pokemon because it doesn't look much like a soccer player to me.
No, it wasn't because it was a big ball of fluff. Like, yeah, he did mention that, but he was just disappointed that Double didn't turn out the way he anticipated, which is a perfectly reasonable explanation of Double on the list.
But Double being a big ball of fluff, it's still something that he mentioned though. It was still one of the reasons why Double is on the list in the first place. Double being a big ball of fluff was a reason why it disappointed Mystic. It wasn't the main reason, but it still was a reason.
Also, bringing up Cinderace is irrelevant since it misses the original point Umbreon was trying to make in the first place.
Actually, no, bringing up Cinderace isn't irrelevant because Melon was using it as a comparison, saying that Cinderace must be a bad Pokemon because the design isn't appealing to her despite its decent stats. Much like how Mystic said that Double is one of the worst Galarian Pokemon just because of the design, even though he mentions that it has decent stats. Now, Melon's point sucks because Pokemon designs can still be criticized regardless of good stats, unlike what she's implying, but that doesn't make the comparison pointless.
Was he disappointed that Cinderace turned out the way it did?
No, of course he wasn't. Mostly because Cinderace wasn't in Mystic's video.
Even then, he can be more disappointed in one thing than another since this really only chalks up to subjectivity.
When did Melon say that Mystic couldn't be disappointed by one thing more than another? Now it just feels like you're stretching for points, and this point is odd for someone who claimed that Melon was missing the point of the original.
It doesn't seem like it's considering they aren't on the list, so I don't really see any reason to bring it up. Now, someone could bring up that the whole "this is disappointed, so that's why I don't like it very much" complaint is a minor one. But Mystic himself said at the end of this segment and earlier in his intro that all of these are mostly minor complaints, so no, you're none.
Though I do agree with this part, I think that you should have shown the part of Mystic's intro to help emphasize your point. Not that you need to, but still.
Just because you don't care for its design doesn't inherently make the Pokemon bad. You mentioned a few of the techniques it can use, but it can also learn Bounce, Thunder Wave, Payback, Guard, Swap, Rest, Electro Ball, and Wild Charge through TM.
Can I mention how Mystic and Melon are at two different places here? Mystic is arguing that Double has a bad design, whereas Melon is arguing that Double is good in battle. This is so unrelated to the point where it hurts.
Chicken.
It's got two forms, the gulping form and gorging form. The gulping form is fine. I love the aspect of it having a little Arrokuda in its mouth. It brings a new touch of design to the Pokemon drawing table, which I like. It shows the perfect representation of predator versus prey. But My god, what in the heck is it doing to Pikachu? Why did Game Freak have to torture poor Pikachu like this?
Maybe someone just came up with this concept and the developers decided to keep it in as a joke?
Madame, war is a serious issue and is a crime in at least 27 countries. You think this is some kind of twisted joke? This time I am calling the police.
Because that plagiarism was so funny the first time.
I mean, they're allowed to have a bit of fun in their games, you know.
He never said you couldn't though. He was just making the joke about poor Pikachu over there getting bored.
I think you're kind of missing the point here, because Melon isn't saying that Mystic thinks Game Freak can't have fun with their games. No, her point is that Mystic doesn't understand the gulping form. Probably because Mystic questioned what it was doing to Pikachu.
Speaking of Pikachu, up next is Morpeko, which I can safely say is my least favorite of the Pikachu clones. With this design, I feel Game Freak just took Pikachu's cheeks, eyes, and ears and slapped it on with a black and brown color scheme. It looks so copy-pasted, and that's what makes me a little upset about this design. Pikachu clone design this generation could have been much better.
Never mind the fact that Pikachu's cheeks are red, whereas Morpeko's cheeks are pink. Also, did Mystic just say that Pikachu's ears were copied and pasted onto Morpeko? Even though Morpeko's ears look completely different and are shorter, not to mention how Morpeko's ears are far less pointy, I guess that you could claim it's a joke, but it's a joke with a point. And I noticed that they have a lot of differences. For example, Morpeko has a much rounder body and a less defined head, and it also has a buck tooth. But yeah, if NaiTaiDai and Melon Tart are going to dance around the points in Mystic's video, then I will hit Mystic's list myself.
Chicken.
Morpeko doesn't deserve this typing. I don't think this is as harsh as I have been to other Pokemon and worse Pokemon videos, so I will consider this as mild.
You can't be serious. Morpeko is bad because it has the type combination of a Pokemon you seem to prefer? What sense does that make?
But I thought you said Luxray was a mono-electric type.
Being an electric type means Luxray only has one major weakness.
He also said Morpeko is another Pika clone, not just it having a unique type in. I hate everything right now.
Look, I know what you're doing with this point. By saying that Mystic hates Morpeko just because it has the typing of a Pokemon that he prefers, Melon is suggesting that Luxray already has that typing, even though, no, it doesn't. Notice how I actually pointed out the poor wording, whereas Umbrus just points out an earlier point just to compare it to the current point. Like, I initially was so confused by this point, to the point where I thought that Umbrus was strawmanning. Umbrus's point isn't necessarily bad, but it could have just been developed much better.
Anyway, even if Loxton from Noggin sometimes says he doesn't think a Pokemon should be a certain type, he at least speculates what it could alternatively be.
I am losing brain cells as this commentary goes on. Good lord.
Whatever happened to not dedicating entire interjections to saying, "You're stupid"? Like, I could never say that this commentary was spiteful, but that interjection right there was unnecessarily condescending.
Chicken.
Dreadnought's face looks like a Bob the Builder paper shredder vehicle or something.
If you think either Dreadnought and that bulldozer look anything alike, you have a serious need for glasses, my friend.
Girl, it was a joke. Also, you fool, Scoop is a backhoe loader. Don't you dare get your Bob the Builder lore wrong.
This is something that Umbrus does throughout her video. She writes off several of Mystic's comparisons as jokes without realizing that jokes can still have points behind them. The joke about Bob the Builder lore made me laugh almost every time I watched this though, so at least this interjection wasn't all bad. But to hit Melon Tart again, her point doesn't really mean anything, since Mystic's point is that Dreadnought is ugly, and the comparison is to get that point across.
At this point though,
just saying a skip card or a text with timestamps would have been nice.
Opportunity Game Freak has. You guys may have guessed it by now, but earlier in this entry I mentioned lack of water Pokemon in Generation 8. Yeah, they messed up again. You want to tell me where my Dolphin Pokemon is? Each generation of Pokemon, fans look forward to that Dolphin Pokemon, and yet in Gen 8, we didn't get it again. A Dolphin would have been perfect for Alola, and could have worked for Britain, especially if we could go out into a boat and head towards the Bay Area Nessa City. Imagine helping out Nessa in this story, and part of her gym challenge is helping the Dolphin Pokemon hop through hoops. Wouldn't that be a dope idea? No well. I guess I'll just keep dreaming about my Dolphin Pokemon.
So, let me see if I understand here. You not only think Barraskewda is a bad Pokemon because it isn't the type of fish you wanted, but you think Game Freak fucked up because you didn't get a damn dolphin?
No. His reasoning is more than just, where is my dolphin, Game Freak? He said that the Pokemon on this part of the list, Barraskewda, looks stupid, which is something that Foxwell, your co-op partner, covered. It's like the co-op is working against itself.
I went to Nessus City expecting to get some kind of awesome new water Pokemon, and then I get this. Thomas the Tank Engine looking fish. Barraskewda is supposed to be based around a barracuda shark. That sounds like a dope idea, but the concept done for it is a no. Barracudas are supposed to be ferocious looking, not look like the school bully who takes your lunch money.
Well, it still looks pretty mean to me. We have a sleek body and sharp teeth. Honestly, it's possibly an intentional mix of fearsomeness and goofiness. After all, when you really look at the Barracuda, it is kind of silly looking.
And Foxwell's argument here kinda sucks. Like, explaining why something is the way that it is doesn't change Mystic's distaste for it. So stop doing that. In this instance, Fox is saying that it's a mixture of silliness and coolness or something, which doesn't really weaken Mystic's initial point. Like, a flesh-eating predator with cartoon eyes, a swirl mouth, and a windmill tail is a bit odd on an objective level, is it not? Getting back to Melon's point though, Mystic even mentions that his point about getting a dolphin Pokemon is mostly taking a step away from Barraskewda, implying that not getting a dolphin Pokemon has next to nothing to do with Barraskewda itself, so congratulations! Your point is taking the video out of context.
At this point though, I'm going to take a second away from the Barraskewda line and talk about the missed opportunity Game Freak has. You guys may have guessed it by now, but earlier in this entry I mentioned lack of water Pokemon in Generation 8. Yeah, they messed up again. You want to tell me where my dolphin Pokemon is? Each generation of Pokemon, fans look forward to that dolphin Pokemon, and yet in Gen 8, we didn't get it again.
Chicken.
Grookey, my dude. You're my second favorite Galar starter, and I have one of the coolest final evolutions I've ever seen. But how in the heck did you wind up with this? This rejected Flintstones character that seemingly looks like a person in a costume. I don't know what it is, but when I look closely at Thwackey, I immediately think of someone in a costume.
I'm sorry. What? How does Thwackey look anything like a human in a costume?
Gee, I wonder. The arms look humanoid, and so do the hands, and depending on what costume it is, it could be some sort of mascot type thing where it is this big huge Sue. Think those Mickey Mouse costumes you're forced at gunpoint by your mother to get a picture with.
She was asking Mystic Umbreon, not you, implying that her point is based on how Umbreon is failing to explain his point.
It's a monkey standing on its hind feet. Plenty of monkey Pokemon have done that. Or is this because it doesn't have an overly large head or look like a spider monkey with its head on fire? Believe it or not, there are monkey species out there that have muscle.
And those monkeys are... what are they? Wait a damn second. Throughout the video, you gone to Umbreon's case for not giving examples. Only to not give examples of monkeys with muscles. I'm flabbergasted. I have no words. This is crazy. I need a second to breathe. Why have you forsaken me?
And the times where Melon asked for Umbreon's examples were... I went back to Melon's original video to make this, and I am still unsure of the times where Melon wanted examples. And this is why we expand upon our points properly.
Lace, what the
Thank you for assaulting my ears, Umbrus, and to an extent Buggy Boy since he apparently edited this skip card. Like, the reason why the Tippy Scream became a meme in the first place is because it is loud and annoying. And that's where I'm ending this commentary because I got nothing else to say.